Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Samantha's Beauty Confessions. Today, we are doing a Q&A episode, or I guess I'm doing a Q&A episode, and I'm going to be answering the remaining questions from the question box I posted over the summer. I've done an episode already where I did more of the personal questions, but today we're going to do more of the business questions. And what I've done is I've divided this into two categories. So on today's episode, this is going to be all about career advice, personal experiences, and just like the client experience as a whole. And then on next week's episode, I'll be back with part 2, which is more like business advice, Instagram tips, content creation, and all of those things. So let's go ahead and get into part 1. Welcome to Samantha's Beauty Confessions, where we engage in authentic conversations and confess everything it takes to turn our dreams into a reality. Together, we'll unlock your unique beauty and guide you toward living the life of your dreams. Get ready to go beyond the highlight reel, embrace the journey, and grow together, one conversation at a time. Now, if you see me looking down, if you're watching this on YouTube, my questions are in front of me. I have a pretty good memory, but it is hard for me to remember all of the questions and talk at the same time and have to look at the camera. That's just too much for my overstimulated brain. But that's what I'm looking at if you see me looking down. So question number 1 is, do you have any crazy stories from beauty school or early in your career that you still think about today? And there were 2 things that came to my mind. The first one, I don't want to get into too much detail on just because I know that it's a topic that not a lot of people probably care about. But when I was in beauty school, I actually was the person who took all the pedicures, okay? For some reason, feet don't bother me. And the people I went to school with, they did not enjoy doing the pedicures at all. And so I would take them in hopes that when something I didn't like to do, such as like a perm or a men's cut, I guess, when those things would come in, I was hoping that my classmates would return the favor and take those services so I didn't have to. So that was just kind of my little strategy with that. But one day I got notified that there was someone there for a pedicure. And I was like, okay, great. I started setting everything up. I go up to the front. I get this sweet little older lady. She's probably like 85 years old. And we go back and sit down. And y'all, she was telling me the whole way back, like, I'm so sorry about my feet. They're horrible. This is embarrassing, all the things. And I was like, there's no way. Like, she is such a cute little woman. Like, there's no way. But when I took off her shoe and her sock to do the pedicure, I was so shocked to see that her toenails were so thick, number 1, but they were also so long that they were like curling under. So that's why I said I don't want to go into too much detail because y'all probably don't care to hear it. But this woman, she needed to go see like a professional instead of coming to a cosmetology school because they were literally so thick that I couldn't hardly even do the service on her because I couldn't work with what I had in front of me. So that was a crazy story. The other thing that came to my mind when I read this question was early in my career, I think maybe like 6 months in, I donated a gift certificate to a fundraiser that was going on in where I live. And the person that got this gift certificate, she booked an appointment. It was a hair color. She comes in, she shows me an inspiration photo. I explained to her, hey, it may take a couple of processes to get there. I thought she understood. I thought we were on the same page. After the service, she left. It seemed as if she was happy. And then a couple of days later, I got a text message from her that was saying she wanted her hair to be lighter, which I thought we'd already talked about, but I informed her like 100%, I agree, it's going to be a process, all the things. I said, at your next appointment, we will definitely be able to get you a little bit lighter and then it'll just keep going. So I thought and assumed that she knew I meant at her next scheduled appointment because when she had left, we had scheduled her out for a few weeks down the road. But what she thought when I said at your next appointment was that she could just come up to the salon at any time, I guess, and I would fit her in and get her lighter. And that's what she did. So I was working on another client one evening, and the door opens, and it's the lady that won the giveaway. And the door opens, and it's the lady that got the gift certificate. She walks in, she smiles, she sits down on the couch to wait. And I'm like, what's going on? So I tell my current client, hold on just a second, walk up to the front, ask the lady what's going on. She's like, well, I'm here to do my next service to go lighter. And I was like, oh, no. I meant like in a couple of weeks, like we have the date. I stated the date back to her, and she's like, okay, but that'll be a free service, right? And I'm like, no, that won't be a free service. She gets very upset. She ends up storming out of the salon and telling me as she's leaving that she's going to ruin my name. And so I'm a mess. I'm like super upset. I'm trying to work on a client, keep my composure. And then when I get off work that evening, I see that she has posted about me on Facebook. And she has said all of these things that are not true, just literally not true. And she is just venting, right? Then there's a thread of comments of people like, telling her how horrible I am and, she should get her money back and just all the things, okay? Luckily for me, though, I did have some people present when the event took place in the salon that were getting on there and defending me. But as a newer stylist, honestly, as a stylist at any level, these things are your worst nightmare. Like nobody wants to go through this, right? But as someone that was a very new baby stylist, I definitely didn't want to. I think that I had a headache for like 7 straight days, and it was just, I thought it was going to end my career. Like I truly thought that. Full circle moment. It did not. It actually did nothing but make me stronger and allow me to, to realize that not every client that you do is going to be happy, and that's okay. It also made me realize that, I'm stronger than I think, and that each time something like this has happened later down the road, it's been a little bit easier to navigate. Just like with anything in life, the more you go through something or you do something, the easier it's going to get. And yeah, that is my crazy story. And to anyone out there who has gone through something similar, just know that I fully understand, and it is so hard to navigate, but I promise you that you will come out so much stronger on the other side. Question number 2. What's something that a stylist may not have thought about that could enhance the client experience? So I have to take a little tip from my friend Sam Bia to answer this question. And he said on a podcast, or I don't know where I heard him say this, but I've heard him say this somewhere, that what he likes to do to really make himself stand out and to give back to his clients is that he will take the client's phone and prop it up on a tripod or on his station or whatever, and he will film from start to finish the process of him blow drying the client's hair and styling the client's hair. That way, the client has this video on their phone and basically has this personalized tutorial on how to create that salon, blowout look at home. And whenever I heard him say this, I was just like, wow, this is so genius, because number one, clients want to know how to style their hair. I think that as stylists, we sometimes just think that they already do know how because we know, but really they don't. Product knowledge is something that clients love to get from us, and this is taking it a step further than that. Okay. And it's really allowing them to feel special and valued and just seen. And when they get home, they have this video forever that they can rewind and pause and, just watch as many times as they want. And when they're struggling with a certain position of holding a curling iron, they have you explaining that back to them. And I'm telling you, this would make me as the client feel super special. I actually need to have Tammy set up a phone when she styles my hair, because she does it much better than I do. And then I'd always have that to look back at. So as I'm speaking, I'm just getting these ideas in my brain. But at the end of the day, it's just something so small and something that doesn't take up any extra time for us, but means the world to the client. And this is going to stick with them forever. It's going to make them appreciate you so much. And it's going to, again, make them feel super valued. Question number 3. What is your opinion on discounted services? Now, I kind of have a couple of answers with this one. This is kind of a tough one to answer just like one specific way because there's so many situations and scenarios that could play into this. But overall, I don't think that you should get into the habit of discounting services. Okay. I think that, when you very first get out, you have to be firm on your prices and you have to stay that way because if you don't, it's kind of like a slippery slope, However, I do think that there are times where you can offer promotions or incentives or discounts or whatever that are acceptable. For example, if you are a newer stylist and you're trying to fill your books up, I think that this is a perfect time to run like a short promotion, maybe like 2 weeks, a month at most, where if clients book with you during this period, they have a discounted price. This is going to encourage booking quick and early, and that's going to fill your books up in the beginning. Another time that I think discounting services is acceptable would be if you are trying out a new technique, like extensions, for example, or if you are wanting to do this crazy transformation and you're really specific with the type of hair, color and texture and all the things that you want to have sitting in your chair. I think this is a great time to offer a discount because this is going to be kind of like an all-day thing. And you can't exactly expect somebody to allow you to do whatever you want to their hair and be okay with sitting in your chair all day long and still have to pay full price. So again, it's just kind of situational in my opinion. I do think that you obviously have to take into consideration, like, you don't want to be out any money. So if you are offering a discounted price on like extensions or something, maybe just charge them for the actual hair that you'll be using, for the color that you'll be applying, or whatever your product cost is. Always make sure that you're charging that because you never want to go, in the hole on something like this. They will be happy with just paying that price, trust me. And that way you're not like building resentment and, burning yourself out because you are losing money in the long run. So I know that, this answer was kind of vague, but I think it truly depends on your current situation, where you are in your career, where you're trying to go, what you can afford. There's so many factors that play into it. Question number 4. Do you have any advice on what to do when you feel overwhelmed? And this question, like 1,000,000% I can relate to this. I feel overwhelmed all the time. I think we all do, right? Like we're all so busy, and hairstylists specifically, we wear so many hats. We have so many things to do, and it just feels like there aren't enough hours in the day, right? But overwhelm usually stems from something a little bit deeper than just having a lot on your plate. And for me personally, my overwhelm usually stems from improper planning, from not wanting to take the time to sit still and to figure out everything I need to get done and to break it down into bite-sized pieces of how I'm actually going to do that. So what I like to do is I like to keep a running list on my phone of things that I need to get done. But when I look back at that list, that creates overwhelm in and of itself because it's just like never ending, And when I feel overwhelmed looking at that list, I don't want to do any of it, right? Like it doesn't seem doable. So what I do is I will pick a couple of things off of that list and I will break them down into smaller tasks of how I'm actually going to achieve that. And once I have it, drawn out, mapped out in front of me, I'm able to feel a lot more encouraged to do the thing because I can see the actionable steps that I need to take to get there. It doesn't feel as daunting as looking at a list of, 100 things in front of me to just see, 1 to 3 things with subcategories underneath, like check marks underneath of how I'm going to get there. So that is what I would recommend, is to not look at things as such a big picture and really get specific on what it is you're trying to accomplish in a certain day, and mapping your day out hour by hour if you have to, just so that you can see it is possible. Another thing that really helps me is to not go to sleep without a plan. So what I found is that if I go to bed at night and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, what do I have to do today? I start to feel overwhelmed way quicker than if I sat down in the evenings, wrote down the thing I needed to do the next day, and then woke up that morning with a plan to do so. It just makes your anxiety, your stress level, all the things go down, which is what we want. So hopefully that helps. Again, I think that in this fast-paced world that we live in, that overwhelm is just so freaking relatable. And I don't know if it ever fully goes away, but hopefully those little things will help you to dull it down a little bit. Question number 5, do you think it's possible to have a successful business if you aren't very active on social media? And my answer to this is yes. I do think that having a social media page with, especially if you're a hairstylist, with your work on it for people to refer back to is a really, really beneficial thing to do, and something that I would not sleep on just because I know how powerful social media is. But I don't think that you necessarily have to be posting all the time, every day, multiple times a day to be successful. So a couple of things that you could do if you're not wanting to do like the work, so to speak, is you could have your clients take selfies of themselves after you do their hair and post it on their story, post it in their feed, and tag you so that other people are seeing your work without you actually having to do the posting. Okay. Make sure though that you have these clients tag you so that it is able to be like shared on your page, and y'all could even collab if you wanted to, something like that, so that you're getting the benefit of it. You could also offer incentives to your clients to where if they send you somebody, then you will give them a discount on their next service. You could even offer a discount to the person they send you. This is going to create more people coming and sitting in your chair. You could also, if they send you so many clients, you could give them, maybe a curling iron or a flat iron or whatever. Obviously, this would have to be more than just like one client because you want it to make sense for your business. But if someone's out there like marketing for you, by all means, give them something in return for doing so, because it's a win for everybody, right? And again, going back to a question from earlier, our clients want to feel valued. And so if they're out doing things for us, we want to be able to give back to them in a way that makes them feel special and pushes them to continue marketing for us. But I 100% think you can be super successful without being, all about social media. And I know that people are getting fed up, for lack of a better term, with having to post all the time, myself included. So just give yourself permission to not feel so pressured. I know that's easier said than done, but there were successful hairstylists before social media ever became a thing, and it is possible. You just have to get creative with it. Okay, and that is the last question for today's episode. I hope that these tips were helpful, and I will be back with another Q&A next Monday. Okay, y'all, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to follow the show on whatever platform you're listening, and leave a rating and review to show your support so we can continue growing together. If today's episode really resonated with you, you can always share it to your story, and be sure to tag me so I can personally thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you again next week.